Hey, good to be with you for another Leadership Lean-In. I hope you've had a good weekend. For those of you who are parents, I hope you've got a fun half term planned, whatever you're up to. I know I've got a few days off this week, and so we've got a few family plans together.
Fantastic, yeah. Even I've got some time off, and
Nice.
we're going to have a family day out
Lovely.
with the adult children.
Not taking them to the pier or something.
No, not to the pier.
Nice.
Yeah. So one of the things that we've done recently as a church, we've had our church together in October. It was the first time that we met together physically since the middle of March. It was over 30 weeks, and I went to two. I think you did more than two, Joel. They were absolutely fantastic evenings. So those of you that came along, I hope you enjoyed them. It was just so good to be physically together. It felt natural. It felt what we should be doing, really.
Yeah. It was really nice just to be in. Kenny and Rachel led really well. Haley and Stuart and Eve led really well their following week. Yeah, it was just really nice, and just to see people's faces that I hadn't seen in over 6 months. Some people.
Yeah.
And it was great. And it actually felt nice to be in that space together. We really appreciate River of Life.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, thank you, River of Life. We really do appreciate.
And apart from a bit of cold, if you were there the first week,
it was a bit chilly.
We didn't quite master the heating, so it was freezing. But the second week, we rectified the situation.
Well, that's good.
And so it's the 8th and the 15th.
Yeah, of November. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even breaking the bread when we did that together, it was just so nice to be able to do something together like that, which we have done it in the homes on a Sunday morning, but there's something about doing it with a group of people because we're acknowledging the body, one another, and so just to be able to look and see one another was really good. So please do sign up to that if you haven't done already. Yeah,
so you can already do that on the website. Yeah, do get signed up. And so hopefully you're aware, the last 4 weeks we've been doing this Restless series, How to Unhurry Your Life. And so it's kind of been, based on the Bible, but we've also been using this book, talking about some of the things that come up in this book by John Mark Comer. I know some of you have bought it and have been reading it. I read it at the end of last year, and I found it really helpful and just really challenging to help me think through some things that I guess I'd not really thought about in a long time.
It's a very different book, isn't it? Because it's a very easy to read book. The way it's set out, it's not kind of like it's not a technical book, and it's not a theological book.
It was so easy to read.
Very easy to read, very current with culture, but very challenging.
And just really practical.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I read in that, I think you mentioned it yesterday actually, Joel, was, the guy said, John said, I accepted Jesus as my saviour, but it's when I accepted him as my teacher, I began to realise he had a whole lot more to offer me than obviously there's no more than salvation, that is the greatest thing, but yet it opened a new treasure trove for him. And I found that really helpful, and I've just been trying to look at it in that light to think, what can Jesus actually teach me here about how to live a life in the rhythms that God has set out for us.
Yeah, and so we just wanted to share a few things this evening that have helped me personally, that Rod's thinking about. We don't want to get legalistic about it. This isn't like you must do this, this and this, otherwise you're not good enough and you get out. Thank God it's by his grace that we are saved. But these are just really helpful. We've talked about adopting the lifestyle of Jesus, following Jesus. Yes. And so it's just a few things that I'm learning as I'm going. There are a few things I'm not doing so well with, but some things I've actually found really helpful. Mainly to do with phones and how we control. Do we control our phones?
And that's the big thing, isn't it? This is the big thing of our generation, is the phone. Who's in charge? Is the phone in charge, or am I in charge?
And so often I find, like when my phone goes off, it's like the whole Pavlovian response. You automatically, I wonder how many of you just automatically pick up, you hear a message and it doesn't cross your mind to think, I'll read that in 5 minutes. You just pick it out straight away and look at it. And so one of the things I've done to help me with that, and that is recommended in this book, is turning off notifications. And I've personally found that really helpful. So I've turned off, apart from messages, because only Rachel really messaged me on there. Everyone else uses WhatsApp. And so if I get a message, I know it's probably from Rachel, and so I let that be.
Yeah.
But WhatsApp and all my other social media, everything's turned off, and so I don't constantly get buzzes on my phone. And it just means I can then plan, like every half an hour, if I'm at my desk or if I'm at home or wherever I might be, I can just check, every half an hour or so, unless I'm in a meeting or you're doing something else. I can check my phone rather than being dictated to by the beep 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 of the notifications.
That's really helpful. I think it's a really
And so I found that
really good.
Yeah, really helpful.
Yeah.
And so if I don't respond immediately to your WhatsApps, that's why. It's because I'm trying to be in control of my phone.
I turned off notifications for Facebook a little while ago, which I found very helpful. But it does mean I miss a few birthdays, so I do apologise. If I missed your birthday, I usually do happy birthday. But
and so if it's an emergency, because people all like you don't most of the time WhatsApps aren't they're not emergency things. Yet they are, so they have just kind of dictate our time to us. And so if someone's got an emergency, they'll most likely phone you. And so that's fine. I do have my phone turned on, I have my ring going.
Yeah.
But yeah, WhatsApp turned off. I found that really good. Another thing I found quite helpful is that on iPhones, I assume on other phones as well, you can set a time limit for your day. It will time out and it'll tell you you've used up your 15 minutes or your 20 minutes. And so my big things that I'll waste my time on are Instagram and BBC Sport.
Okay.
And so they're the two.
It's really the cycling, isn't it?
It is as well.
Okay,
if you watch the cycling over the weekend, we can talk. I'd love to talk to you about it. I haven't got enough people to talk about the cycling to. It's fantastic. But yeah, BBC Sport, and so I found really helpful setting like a 20-minute time limit on my phone, and then so I know once I've hit that, I've spent enough time scrolling through, and same with Instagram, because they're the two for me.
Yeah, that's great, because I mean on a Saturday I just keep an eye on the football scores all the time, and the trouble is I have no way of influencing them.
Yeah.
So actually looking at them every 5 minutes, which infuriates Sue or anybody else that's around me, I can't change anything. It just either irritates me or makes me a bit happier. Normally it's been irritating more recently. So.
Yeah. Well, I've been watching the cycling, so I've got Evelyn and Caleb watching a bit of the cycling with me, but that's on TV, so that doesn't count for my time. Okay. But yeah, I just think again, it's that whole thing again. I'll keep saying it again and again. Who's in control?
Yeah.
Because the more what I found really helpful in the book, especially as a parent to two like aware children and like a baby, Levi doesn't really notice, but for Caleb and Evelyn, for them to be with me, and if I'm just constantly picking up my phone or checking things, and I've just realised how often I do that, even sometimes like at breakfast or when and so meal times I realised I was picking up my phone. And I thought, what am I doing? Picking up like this, what example am I setting? This is again, if you do that, I'm not putting it on you, but for me personally, I was like, I want to be present. He talks a lot in the book about being present and engaging with like the moment and not being somewhere else. So Rod's not talking to me and I'm just looking at my phone.
I know.
And it's so easy.
We've all been on the receiving end of that. And it is irritating.
But
then we all do it.
Yeah, but it's not just in like family settings where I've noticed it most for me, but also like when we're in the office, maybe when you're with your group, or maybe when you're on Zoom, and it's easier on Zoom because no one knows what you're doing on the computer, so I can check football. If I need to, I can check football scores when I'm on Zoom. You've just noticed my eyes just darting off to the corner. And I really do, and so I'm nowhere near mastered it, but I really want to be.
But your children, they are influenced by what you do. And this is a slightly odd example, but back in the day when I would be out with my father, when I was a child, we never had any of this technology, but he had the radio, and he had a little portable radio, and at 3 o'clock, all he would do was have his radio to his ear, even if we're out going on a walk in the park, or even going around a stately home. I can remember him being told off 2 or 3 times by people, when he shouldn't have had his radio on. But I do think that I've remembered it, and I think that influences me, so that on a Saturday now, I've got the phone, how's the football doing, it's just the modern equivalent of what you're doing, and you've got to choose then to break the habit. You've got to make a deliberate decision to say, no, I'm not going to do that. It doesn't just magically happen. It happens because you've deliberately decided, no, I'm going to switch it off or have a timer or whatever. So
and I think it's just modelling the healthy limits on, or putting limits on things, just like we do. Like I said, I think on Sunday we're great at hearing things and not great at doing them.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm great at telling my kids what they should be doing, but then I need to actually do that. I need to do that myself. Yeah. And so that's one I've been challenged with, and I'm getting there.
Yeah, I think on the Sabbath one, obviously that's the talk I did. I found that very challenging, just preparing it, and more than any preach in recent years, I had to think through, what do I think about this? Do I agree with this? That was quite a challenge. And I've realised that actually what I need to do is, if I'm going to set aside a day for God, and it hasn't, like we said, it hasn't got to be just, prayer and singing. It can be a walk in the park, it can be family time, it can be have a meal with friends, but any way that inclines my heart to give thanks to God for his world, his, the people in his world, his creation. But I realise I need to deliberately plan it. It isn't just going to happen. And I realise as well that it isn't just emptying a day of things that you shouldn't be doing, because that's the law. I mustn't do that, mustn't do that, mustn't do that. Then I'm left with something. What do I do? This is going to be a bit boring now. Actually, I need to plan it, and so part of what we talked about was actually observing the Sabbath. And therefore we kind of like observe it like we would, and prepare for it like we would Christmas or Easter or another event, or children's birthday party or something. We have to plan that day. And I've realised that if I'm going to really make a massive shift in my life, I need to plan all my life around it. Not only what do I do on that day, but actually the things that I would have done, now when do I do those? And I think that's really taking God seriously, really taking your life seriously. It won't just happen, but it can happen if you choose to make that shift. And that's kind of what I'm processing at the moment, and where I'm at. We're trying to figure out how do I adjust now to try and bring that rhythm into my life.
I think that's really, really helpful. And also you won't, it's about learning, it's about thinking and planning and accepting that it's not going to happen just overnight.
No.
And all of a sudden now I'm keeping a hold of my Saturday from Friday night to Saturday night. I'm completely free, and so I'm kind of going. I'm on a similar journey, trying to work out what do our Saturdays look like. What are the things that we love to do as a family together, that Rachel and I love to be able to do together. And so we've started putting a few things in place, but
and this is the thing, you don't do it in isolation either. Like you've said, it's what do you do as a family? What do you and Rachel do? So you've got to plan it together. You've got to think about it together. It can't be you on your journey and not involving Rachel in any
And that's
way.
the problem. Rachel, I've read this twice now, and I'm giving it to Rachel to read because we do want to be on the same page, and not just me doing one thing and Rachel doing another thing. So it's not as a recipe for disaster. So that's really good. And so one other quick thing that I've done for my phone is I've taken emails off my phone.
Okay.
Because there's another thing that you just automatically, just every so often, I've got another email, and you see, I have got another email, and you could be answering emails at 10 o'clock at night, or 10:30 or 11 o'clock, whatever, it's any time of day. And so I've learned that emails aren't normally, emergencies. If an emergency, someone will call you.
Yeah.
And so I'm not. Sometimes I do answer emails in the evening, but I'm generally trying to stick to daytime.
And another simple thing is just don't take your phone to bed with you, if you know what I mean. So don't have it on by your bedside, because it will just distract you.
And that is the hardest one for me.
Leave it downstairs. I mean, that's one. Maybe I'm one ahead of you on that one. I never take it upstairs. I don't usually switch it off because you don't really need to these days. In fact, it's usually charging overnight. It's always charging downstairs. I have no, so I kind of say my goodbye WhatsApps usually to family members that are not present at home, and then that's it. I then pick it up and have a look.
Because he recommends parenting your phone, so he'd say, put it to bed. So he's pretty radical. For me anyway. Maybe not for you. Maybe you think, what are you guys talking about? This is so basic. But he would put his phone to bed when his kids go to bed, and then so him and his wife have time together, uninterrupted by phones, and then he gives his phone a lie-in in the morning. But after he's woken up, because it's staggering, the statistics of how many people do sleep with their phone beside their bed, and I am one of those people. So this is one of the ones I'm struggling with, and even worse, how many people? It's the last thing they'll do at night, and it's the first thing. Like your eyes were open. I wonder, maybe that's you, and you're the first thing you'll do.
Check your phone.
Is to pick up your phone and just start scrolling through Instagram. And so I've had to make a conscious. So it is still in the bedroom. So maybe it shouldn't be. But it's not.
Keep it downstairs, Joel.
You think?
Put it to bed downstairs.
Okay. I'll keep you updated.
Go on, you can do it. I'm sure you can do it. Absolutely.
But it is hard, and it's one of the
Yeah. I mean, the only time I've ever actually had it on the bedside is if for pastoral reasons when there's somebody that's been very, very ill.
Okay,
And
not just.
And I just want to know. No, yeah. I mean, seriously ill,
Yeah.
and I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a deliberate thing. I will do that occasionally,
Yeah.
very occasionally, if there needs to be.
Mhm.
But as a rule of thumb, no,
Yeah.
it's not in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm. And so maybe if you phone's not a thing, there's no problem. You don't have any problems with it. I think you're right where you said the other week. The younger you tend to be, the harder it is. The more control the phones have over you. But if if that's not you, one of the other, so something else just about slowing and control, it's driving a speed limit, which Rod has problems with because he used to be involved in setting speed limits and roads and things.
I mustn't go there.
But for some of you, I bet that's a real challenge.
It is a challenge.
And for me, for Rachel and I in our marriage, Rachel has no problems with it. And I'm the one who's always wanting to just, slightly push it, it's just only a couple miles an hour over, or, 70, 73 on the motorway rather than 70 or maybe 75. And all just wanting that idea of always wanting to hurry and just get there faster than you need to.
I have found as I've got older, I think I have slowed down in terms of my driving.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I used to drive a lot faster when I was a lot younger. But again, it's a conscious decision. You have to choose to do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't, magically happen. One day it actually might magically happen because I think technology will change and driverless cars, they won't go the speed limit. But for right now, while we still have control, you're consciously choosing to go above the speed limit or to stick to it. It's a choice that you make. And it is a hard one. It is a big, hard one. Probably harder for guys than women, but...
But I've actually found, so I've trialled this the last 2 months, and apart from sometimes when I just completely forget and I then find myself going a bit over the speed limit, I've actually managed to do that pretty... Well, you can ask, if you see Rachel, you can ask her, but I think I'm doing pretty well with that one.
So I should really ask, how many speeding fines have you had?
I've never had any speeding fines. I've never had any speeding fines.
Do you know what, nor have I?
Yeah, but I did break the speed limit a lot. Whereas now, I've actually, so that one's not been too big an issue. The phone is much more of a to try and compensate.
I find the speed limit on the motorway in roadworks, they're the challenge because you have to sit on the pedal, don't you? Unless you've got cruise control. So
And so I just really recommend this book. So there are loads of other things like talks about simplifying and slowing, living by a budget, learning to be generous. How to slow down what you buy. Thinking through, not just buying lots and lots of things because we can, and because we're told to by advertising, but just thinking through how you're living and how you're spending.
And I think as well, just taking the value in taking time out to be with God, and even if sometimes you can fill that time with hurry. I've got to get through my prayer list. I've got to tell God about this, about that. Actually, being in the presence of God, sitting in the presence of God, enjoying Him. And you don't have to speak, you can hear, you can receive. I think all of that is really valuable.
So it's been really, so I've really, so personally for me, this has just been really helpful, and it's been something that's been, I've spent a lot of time thinking about. So I hope you found it helpful and challenging, and because we do want to be a people who spend time with God. That's like our first priority. We'll talk about that in a minute with prayer and fasting, but we want prayer to be our first resort.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's our first thought, not our last resort even. And so we've got that. And then do you want to talk a bit about the series that's coming up?
We've got a new series starting on Sunday, 5 weeks, called Heart for the House, and
it's going to be good.
It's 5 of the former elders who were elders in Jubilee, who will be preaching and really picking something that they really enjoyed about Jubilee. That they felt was something special about the church, because I think it was a special church, and lots of good fond memories of it as well. But something that they hope and pray will also be in Redeemer. Maybe it will look slightly different in Redeemer because it's a different church, but actually the principles would carry through. So that's going to be kicking off with Pete this coming Sunday. I think he's speaking on grace. So I hope so. Otherwise you'll be surprised when you tune in to something else. So that will take us through the whole of November.
So that'll be looking forward to that.
And just to say as well, it was going to be a series that we kind of always planned it. We always planned to do that kind of at the end of Jubilee, but then because events overtook us really with COVID and the decision to plant Redeemer ready for Easter Sunday, given all the circumstances, it kind of got lost at that moment, and so we feel it's still important to do that, which is why we're now bringing it down.
Yeah. And so just a few things coming up. So this coming Friday we are doing prayer and fasting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a day when we have on the hour we have different topics to pray through from 9 till 6. They're things to do with Redeemer, they're things to do with the current pandemic, and then things to do with Worthing as well. And so it's all nicely portioned out, and you'll get that. You should have that information. Actually, your group leaders will have got that today, I think. And then it will be out on social media as well. So everybody should have that by Friday. And it's up to you how much you get involved. And you may be able to be involved in the morning and not the afternoon, and that's absolutely fine. It's not a legalistic thing. If you can do some of it but not all of it, that's fine. If you can do all of it, that's also fine.
What do you find best for you? Well, how do you work it? Do you miss? Where do you go from?
Well, we did it the one time last. We've only done it the once. So I missed. I think it was lunch. I missed. And prayed through then, maybe a bit more. Maybe prayed for a bit more at that time. But Sue and I were out in the afternoon actually, and I remember we were driving in the car, and Sue said, "Oh, the time now. What's the thing on?" And we were praying as we were in the car, and you know, it's an easy. It's quite easy wherever you are. In most things, you can think. And even if it's just a 2-minute prayer, but of course if you can give it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, if you can pray with other people, that can be very, very helpful. And I know that some people got together and prayed.
Did they?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, nice. But if it's just a minute on the hour, just set an alarm, just to pray for a minute while you're at work or whatever it is that you are doing.
Yeah, and you can be more creative than what we've said. I mean, so we've given some guidance, for this and some pointers, but you just let prayer take you where the Spirit takes you, because God can take you to other things, other places in prayer. So it's not just a kind of a rigid thing. Prayer is a dynamic living thing. It's all about relationship. It's about your relationship with God. And so allow the prayer to feed your relationship, to feed your walk with God, and to develop that closeness with God. It's a great moment to do that. So it's there to help you as well as there for us as a church, because prayer is so important. And I think if we're going to build a church that really reaches this town, that impacts the town and the nation, then prayer has got to be right at the heart of everything we do.
Yeah. So that's this Friday.
Yep.
And then the following Thursday, we're going to have our second instalment of Redeemer Quiz Night.
Yes.
And so Thursday, 8 p.m. on the 5th of November.
Yep.
And we're going to have a great time. So Paul has put together another incredible blooper reel.
Oh yes, very good.
We've got some great prizes. We've actually had a prize come forward.
Yes.
Someone offered a prize. The Lamb Pub in Angering. We're going to be. Should we just tell them whet their appetite?
So the appetite.
First, the winning team, we're going to get a meal for 2 or for 6. For the team, but. Or whatever, whatever it works out. A meal for 6.
The team will get a meal. You'll each get a meal.
You get a meal with the Lamb Pub, 2 courses.
Yes.
Delicious food.
Yeah.
What a prize.
Absolutely. And you can go as a 6, or obviously you can't go more than that. But you could go as in pairs if you wanted. However you want to do that.
Yeah. And so that's great. We'll have some other prizes like we did last time. Some coffee prizes, coffee vouchers for a shop in town.
Yeah.
Maybe we had some boxes of sweets last time, we'll see. But we're going to have some great prizes, we're going to have great fun. It's going to be a good time. So let your group leaders know and get signed up. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. You need to feed back to us, don't you, who's actually going to be in the quiz, because then we're going to divide you into teams. So if you can let your group leaders know, and then they'll let us know. And then we can work out from that list who the teams are.
Yeah, so it's going to be great. And then, is there anything else? Oh, we've already talked about church together.
Yeah,
that's fine. Yeah, great. So we're looking forward to being together. Get signed up.
Gilbourne.
We're going to talk about the Gilbourne, of course we are. So Gilbourne, stuff's happening. So just hopefully you've caught the videos the last couple of weeks, and so some of you might not have even known that we've got that terrace space that Val talked about.
That's right. Yeah.
And on Church Online yesterday, which is just such a fantastic extra space for us to use for to have as a breakout space if you're running things, especially in the summer evenings. It'd just be so nice to be able to use that space, but also during the week if we've got events running there or on a Sunday and be able to have tea or coffee. or a glass of wine in the evening out there.
And just like the rest of the Gilbourne, which is being absolutely transformed, because has been a shell and a mess, and now it's being already being transformed almost as we speak, was today earlier. But also that terrace area outside, that will be transformed as well. So it won't look like that.
Oh yeah, at the moment it's an ugly space.
Yeah, it is ugly at the moment, but it will be fantastic.
And so we're going to update you this Sunday again. We'll have some more videos for you.
Yep.
But there's lots happening. The ceiling's being painted, floors being done, walls are going up really fast, and so I think installations arrive for those. And so it's kind of this pace, or the visible pace anyway, is picking up. At first it was all, you couldn't see much change, but lots was going on. And now it's that kind of quick.
Yeah. And do keep praying. That the work carries on time, that comes in on budget, that all the workers are safe, obviously, because they're working in a pandemic time at the moment. And also pray for finances. We've got to think about kitting it all out quite soon. Chairs and things.
Yeah, which at the moment we have no money for.
No.
So that's all to come.
Yes, that's all to come.
We're very excited about it.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us.
Yes.
And we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Yep. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.